Sean is here, and Sean has the most exciting I have never been more jealous of anybody in my life, to be honest with you. You know, you thought I was jealous when that guy came in with a Knight Rider car a couple of years ago in Fort Worth, and this guy has a full-size working Johnny 5 for the movie Short Circuit. Hey, Sean, how are you? Oh, let me get your mic on here. Sorry about that.
Hey, I'm doing okay. How about you?
Doing well. Now, I saw you on TikTok, like I'm sure most people have, Texas Johnny 5. Is that what it is?
That is correct. Texas Johnny 5 build. Yeah.
And when I saw this, I thought, there's no way this guy's in the DFW area. You know, just my luck, he's going to be in Houston or San Antonio or whatever. We reached out because we saw him on I guess you did a charity event or something recently.
Did a Comic-Con in Austin.
That's what it was. Yeah. And I thought, well, maybe he's here. Maybe he's close to Dallas. So we reached out. He lives in the DFW area and said he would come on by. Now, I was like, I don't know if we should ask him to bring the Johnny 5 because it's got to be so big, right? Like,
he's we think he's about 400 pounds.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, are you serious? 400 pounds?
Yeah. We haven't had a scale large enough to weigh him yet. We're just basing it off the CAD drawing, the estimates.
Yeah. So when you do move him to like Comic-Con or whatever, how does he come apart?
He does not come apart. He can come apart, but I try to avoid doing that. Basically, today I have to rent a trailer to do it. It's a U-Haul 5x8 trailer. I pretty much
get him on there and then
do with the ramp. And U-Haul started in this thing now where they put ramps on their small trailers. They just started it, so it was like perfect. So obviously I would prefer to have my own trailer someday, but that's what I'm doing.
And so let's talk about how you got started on this. We talked a little bit off air about your background because you have to have some sort of technical ability to put this thing together. But were you a fan of the movie Short Circuit? Like, how did the idea come about?
Yeah, funny thing is, it had nothing to do with the movie. Because a lot of people are like, hey, are you just like really into those movies and everything? And you know, the movies were okay, right? I mean, you
watch them now, they're not great.
They're not like super great. They're just, they're kind of classics, but you know, there's a niche.
Right.
You know? But for me, it's about robotics. I've always wanted to get into robotics. I grew up in radio, so that was kind of my first thing. And when I was in radio, I did a lot of the engineering activities for the station. So my grandfather was very technical. So that's kind of where I get my aptitude. And then I moved into, I kind of moved into telecom and some other things. So I never really got into robotics. So I was like, I really would love to just tinker around and do that kind of stuff. And I didn't want to do and nothing against the R2 builders out there, right? But I just didn't want to do like an R2-D2.
Yeah, everybody does it.
One,
yeah.
Right? So I really wanted to do something that was just obscure. Like nobody's really done yet. And so I came across about 7 or 8 years ago a group called Input Inc. It's input-inc.com. It's a group of builders that basically dedicated to reviving the Johnny 5 robot. And what they did was about 20 years ago, this guy named Terry Anders Jr. went out to see Eric Allard, who actually built the robots for the movie. They built like 10 or 15 of these things, like in about 3 or 4 months for millions of dollars. And so Eric still had one from the movie at the time. And so Terry went out there, he completely tore it all the way down, took pictures. So think of like a crime scene where you're taking a ruler and you're putting it on a part and you're taking a photo, right?
Right.
So it started from that and it kind of took about 20 years so far. I mean, it probably would say in the last 4 or 5 years, it got to be where one could actually be built, but they've been trying to take all that and put it into a CAD so people can actually replicate it. And so my replica is a 1-to-1 exact replica of the movie robot.
Wow.
Obviously with updates to some of the mechanics and some of the electrical and the controlling and all that, right? It's not 1985 technology.
Right.
Yeah, but I didn't have like this real affinity from the movie. It was really more of just the robotics side. But as I built him, I got to where I started really appreciating the character. So it's like childlike character.
Yeah.
In the first movie, he grows up. He becomes self-aware. He grows up and very innocent. And then the second movie, he becomes kind of a teenager and he's trying to figure out like the world is not the perfect place he thought it was. And he's, so I've kind of like, the electronic side I really enjoy, but the part I'm really enjoying now is seeing kids' faces when I go out.
Yeah.
Seeing kids really light up when they see this, 6 foot. He probably can go to about 7 foot on his tippy toes. He can do the tiptoe thing like in the movie.
Wow.
So
that's crazy.
Yeah, he gets really tall and very well balanced, by the way. And kids just just light up. I mean, there's two responses. One, they're terrified, or they light up.
But then they hear it talk to them.
Yeah.
And stuff. They probably ease up to it.
What blows their mind away is when they say their name.
Yeah.
So he has AI. So he has ChatGPT, and he has a clone voice of the actor Tim Blaney, which, by the way, is a great guy. Met him at the Comic-Con. Very, very much supportive of my build and everything. And he just, when they say their name, they just can't believe it.
Yeah.
They're just,
I'm a huge Knight Rider fan. I am a Knight Rider fan too. But Short Circuit, not because, again, the movie wasn't that great, but I was just, as a kid watching it, it was very fascinating to me. And it was amazing to me that they don't license that out at all. Like, there's no merchandise really or anything like that you can find.
It's interesting. Sony Pictures owns it.
Yeah.
But they also own Ghostbusters, right? So it's interesting. I guess they pick the ones that are really you think they're really gonna make some traction, right? And I think they really missed a marketing point with Short Circuit 2 when they made the little toy robots.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people would even buy those today.
Absolutely.
But there's builders out there that are making those, and a lot of those designs are based off this work that Input did, and they just scale it down to a toy. Some of them have them where they actually drive around on the desk and work. So if you don't want to spend the thousands of dollars to get a full size, you can get a little toy one.
I already have it, and I've already spent like $1,500 on it.
Well, there you go.
2 years ago, I found a guy on Instagram or Facebook or something, and he does collectibles, and he had a Johnny 5. It's like maybe 6 inches.
Yeah,
very detailed. Came with, different heads and stuff like that.
Sweet.
And I'd never seen anything like that, and I've always wanted it, so I bought it from him. And then, like, last year I bought another one that's about a foot tall, not as detailed, not as, this other guy took more care building it. But it talks, and it has a laser pointer for the laser and all that. So I'm very happy. I'm satisfied. I was satisfied, and then I saw his build, and then I'm like, oh well. Now I don't even have a place to put it anywhere. Honestly,
yeah, he would fit maybe right where that chair is or something. But it's got to be a labor of love, because it's like having a classic car. Yeah, there's always something to work on. There's always something that goes wrong. There's always something you got to do. It's funny because people are thinking, well, I'll buy that from you. How much do you want for it? And I'm like, you can buy it, but you won't be able to maintain it. Yeah, like you're going to be calling me up the second something goes sideways. It's not that it's like to the point to where it's going to always mess up. It's just one of those things that's not an off the shelf item. Right. Yeah. So it's like having a Knight Rider car. Like you could have that, and you could get it all built and everything, but then it's going to have something that's going to go haywire at some point.
I mean, I'm
it might have a pink painted on the bottom.
Yeah, that's exactly what mine has. And I didn't know that until I went for service.
Oh my gosh, that's quite the surprise.
Yeah, he's like, "Did you see the pictures?" I go, "No, what are you talking about?" And then he had to show it to me, and it was a whole thing. And it's still there. They didn't fix it. They didn't spray over it. So
but
it's still there.
I will highlight. So there's several of these in the world, replicas. None of the movie ones are operational. They're all in private collectors' hands at this point, which makes me kind of sad. Yeah, I mean, there's one at Sony, I think, at their backlot tour or whatever, but there's mine in the U.S., which right now is the only operational one in the United States. There's several people making them, but mine's the first one out of the gate, if you will. And then there's at least one in Canada, but it's in a private guy's hands who doesn't take it anywhere. And there's like 3 of them in the UK.
How many man hours do you think that you've put into this thing?
So I started, like I said, around 7 or 8 years ago, just finding parts, and I told myself, if I could get the rare parts, then I would build it. Because I have one of his eyes here, kind of creepy, but basically this eye on here is a what they call a Wolazak lens, and it's a camera lens. But you can't, in order to get the look, you have to have the part, and in order to get this, they're now rare. Right, it's pretty rare, and then you machine it and you make it look like the movie. Everything else is either 3D printed or metal parts, but I when I started, I said, I'll get the parts. If I can get the rare parts, then I'll finish it. I kind of procrastinated for the first few years. I would say around that pandemic, which was when everybody had a lot of free time, is when I really went into, fifth gear with it, or, really just tried to really work on it pretty hard.
And then when did you get on TikTok?
A year ago.
Oh, really? So
yeah, it was like October, November. Yeah, It was crazy because all I did was I thought, I have a YouTube and I have an Instagram and I have Facebook, and it's all under TJ5 Build. But basically, I had a handful of followers. Didn't
Yeah.
really, the social media thing for me was more about just sharing some kind of documented processes and kind of what I did. It wasn't really like entertainment.
Right.
But then I went on TikTok and I was like, I'm going to just kind of produce a video just kind of with, I think I used the $6 Million Man intro and just kind of did some things. And that thing it was like 1.1 million views.
Wow.
Like it was just crazy how it blew up. And then all of a sudden, a few months later, I had 50,000 followers. I mean, we're up to 150,000 now. So it's crazy. And I get a lot of response when I go live.
Yeah.
because I can, when I go live, I actually have him taking the comments and responding to the comments.
Yeah. And I think at the time when I first saw you,
Yeah.
I don't know if the build was complete. Like I think,
no, I did it in stages.
It was like the head was there, but
Yeah.
it like didn't have arms
Didn't
or
have
something
arms.
like that.
Yeah.
And I just that having the talking head was so cool. In fact, that's what I might have to commission you to do, is just do a talking head. So how much you think if somebody's listening and they want to take on this mission,
Oh my gosh.
if they can find the part, how much do you think that they're going to spend bare minimum?
Well, so my cost is not including labor, right? So
Right.
I've had probably 3 or 4 years of just straight labor, weekends, nights,
Yeah.
whatever. You're going to spend upwards of just parts alone to build a full size 30,000-40,000 easily.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah. A lot of that's a common question I get. I generally shy away from it, but for your show, I'll put it out there.
I'm thinking in my head, 5,000,
No.
something like that.
No, he has his own insurance policy.
Yeah. Well, you have to. Yeah. I had to put one on my car too, a collectible insurance policy
Yeah.
on it. Cause
Yep.
you never know what's going to happen.
Well, the thing about him is it's not a collectible insurance policy. It's actually insured by the part because there is
Really?
no comparable.
Yeah.
So I have a spreadsheet as every part that there is on him, and it's insured by the part. So.
Yeah. So it's a cost agreed price on it.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, it's 30, 40 just in parts. So you can double that for labor, right? If you had somebody build one for you. I mean,
yeah. So
easily.
you're talking about a Back to the Future car.
Yeah.
At this point,
it took
almost.
me probably when I built his arm is very intricate, has a lot of servos, it has, the hands,
Yep.
the fingers can move and all that. It probably took me like 2 weeks for just one arm.
Wow.
Like every night, 3 or 4 hours. And then all day Saturday, all day Sunday.
And it's half machined, half 3D printed?
So he has multiple, there's multiple methods that have been used. 3D printed was the first thing that I really got into. So kind of playing on this, I didn't 3D print before this.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't use a lathe before this. I didn't do a lot of mechanical stuff. My background's electronics.
Yeah.
So I had to self-teach myself to do these part makings as we went along. So I learned 3D printing. I had to buy a 3D printer. But yeah, he has 3D printed parts, resin printed. I think SLA is what they call it, printed with the spool print, using like ABS and PLA and all that. And then they have machine parts. So you have aluminum, steel, stainless steel. Some of those require special machining, so some of that's farmed out. And what I have benefited from is there's people that I know in the group that had extra parts, so I bought some of those.
Yeah.
So some of those I didn't have to make myself, and then there's others where they did part runs, so I just kind of got in on that to get the cost down. So I've been real fortunate in that. But then there's some where I've had to have made myself, and you would think it could be hundreds of dollars. And there's somewhere like these little pieces here, this little aluminum piece here on the side, like I just go and buy that from a metal surplus here in DFW, and then I make it in my garage.
Yeah.
So there's different levels of it. I learned how to use a lathe because a lathe was relatively inexpensive versus buying the part made. So I decided to do that, but I didn't go as far as getting a mill machine, to where I had to mill parts. So,
What do you think cost estimate the eye? Just that
just
part.
the eye alone. Well, the servos alone are $40 each, and there's 2 servos on here. This is a special made PCB. I think I paid for the whole set. I think I paid like $100 because it's 2 PCBs and then the head PCB. The eye, I bought this eye long time ago.
That's one of the rare parts.
One of the rare parts, yeah. I think I paid like $75 at the time for both, and now you're paying like maybe a couple hundred,
Yeah,
or
I
more
can imagine,
if you can
yeah.
even find it. The 3D printed stuff, if you own a printer, it's $25 a roll, and this is a fraction of a roll, right?
Yeah.
So 3D printed is really economical. I will also want to give a shout out to Send Cut Send. So Send Cut Send is a company in California that does laser cut parts. They have actually sponsored my build, and they have also given me parts for Johnny as well whenever I need them. So they do a lot of the laser cut parts for him. So I've been real fortunate in that regard.
Could you make it completely out of 3D print? Is it possible?
You can make it, but you would have to make sure that you have certain rigid structures in there like you couldn't move it.
Right.
Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
Because the way he's awkward and how he stands, he would just crumble under his own weight. There is a 3D printed full version out there, but
it's more for a look. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. You couldn't operate it. There's no way.
Maybe that's what I'll start off with.
That'd be a lot of rolls. But
yeah.
You could probably do that.
So I wanted the AI portion of that because I thought that's really interesting because, I've got this Knight Rider car.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how do I monetize this Knight Rider car? Right. Not necessarily because I'm trying to make money off it. I just want it to pay for itself. Sure. Like you said, your Johnny 5 is going to have maintenance. You're going to be spending X amount of dollars every month. This car, there's $4,000 worth of suspension that I got, and a dong I have to have removed. All these things that I got to get done.
Well,
and
but do you want to remove that?
That's true. Now it's mine.
Yeah, I was like, it's been marked, right?
It gets stolen. I'm like, we think we found your car. Did you look underneath it? Let's make sure. But. So I'm trying to figure out how do I make this? Because again, Knight Rider, Short Circuit, very sort of niche things that I mean, Knight Rider's probably a little bit bigger, I guess. But in terms of you're talking, Star Wars,
still
Back to the
Gen
Future,
X though.
Exactly.
That's the one thing that I really want to position my build is beyond Gen X. Yeah. Right. Because I'm with you. It's like trying to figure out kind of how to pay for all this. And sorry, what was the question?
So going to this, I thought about, I watched your video and I'm like, he's doing these TikTok lives where you're doing the whole thing where you're answering the questions, saying people's names. Is there a way you think that I could put something in the car?
Yes,
that
absolutely.
would be able to talk on demand?
Yes, absolutely. You could do that. And I'm waiting for somebody to do that. I've not seen anybody do that with a Knight Rider car yet. I'm like, it's so easy. I say it's easy.
Yeah, you're the engineer.
But once again, in all fairness, I had never messed with AI before this.
Yeah,
I never messed with any of that stuff. It just takes a lot of
trial and error.
Trial and error, dedication, going out Googling, looking on YouTube, that sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so I found a way to do it that was now looking back is relatively easy. But yeah, he has two methods of control.
Okay.
One is an RC. So I use an RC Sky remote that has like a digital display on it. And that's what I use for his tracks. Because I don't want his tracks to be controlled by anything other than me.
Right.
It's very, at 400 pounds, that could hurt somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, he rolled off onto my foot one day and I thought I was going to lose my toe. I kid you not. It was really, so I'm very cautious about that. But everything else is either ran through a program. It's called Kyber Systems. It's a homegrown controller. Basically, you can create scenes.
Okay.
So basically, I can create a scene that matches an audio clip with a movement, and then he can reenact that scene. So that's like what I use mostly
to move them around.
And then I have an AI that basically uses 11 Labs and also ChatGPT, and it allows me to ask questions and have them respond. Now, I'm still refining that. I'm not an AI expert, and I use it. I don't want to get real technical here, but the way I use it is not in a traditional sense. I use it through a mobile device, whereas I'd like to have something on board him. So I'm actually sending the audio to him as opposed to being on board. But it's an illusion, right? People don't know that. They're just like, oh, it's really amazing. He's talking, and
do you get a lot of crazy responses?
I do, and the funny thing is with AI, you can he has a whole bio. So like in his bio, he's going to know that I came on this show and had this conversation.
Yeah,
right.
So you add that to
add it to it
every time. ChatGPT.
Cool. Yeah. So every time I take him to an event, every time he does something, like I went to the Ronald McDonald House here recently at a charity here, and I told him he was going to be at the Ronald McDonald House and he was going to see kids and all this other stuff. And so when they would talk to him, and he would be self-aware. He'd know exactly where he's at.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really cool. And so I have it dialed down to where he can't, like if somebody, like somebody asked him about the presidency, like Trump or Kamala, right? He wouldn't answer it.
Right.
Like, I think ChatGPT in general avoids the question.
Right.
But like if anybody's like really mean to him, he tells them that they should be nicer. And so he has a personality built in now that pretty much guards from those odd questions.
Wow.
He doesn't call him, he doesn't say your mama was a snowblower.
So that's one of the scenes.
Right.
So I can do that one, or the locust chant.
Okay.
Yeah, because people ask for those all the time.
Right,
and so I've got those programmed in for sure.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, common questions are like, how old are you? Like, where is Stephanie? Where is Newton Crosby today? Where is Ben? They don't really go into the whole Ben thing.
Imagine that.
but I get that a few times on TikTok. People.
The idea I have, and I think I'm going to give you credit for it because I'm going to steal it from you. Is if I could figure out, I can film the Knight Rider car, just the front view,
right,
and just have the light on,
right.
film it for loop that video, put it on TikTok Live, then connect the AI to it, and have people ask Knight Rider, and then have it go from there, and then. Kind of what you're doing is on the show. If I have an update on Kit Car, I'll talk about it. Then we'll cut that video and put it out because there's a lot of people. We put one of the first videos we talked about it. A lot of people commented on, "Oh, that's my dream car. I would love to have this." And so it's kind of like they're living vicariously.
They are.
Your dream.
And the responses. I think what makes it all worthwhile. I've spent a lot of money on this venture. Yeah. Right. I mean, and I did it because I wanted to do it, but the reward is now going to these events, and I want to do more events, right, where more public, because there's just people that it really is a symbol for them. Yeah, like the Knight Rider car is, right? Johnny's the same way, and people just they lose it. They lose their. It's crazy. It's like I went to this one deal, and this lady was hopping up. I mean, she's probably 30 years old, and she's just going nuts and just oh my gosh, this is the greatest thing ever. And you think about it, and it's like nobody's ever seen this off screen. Yeah. Working. Yeah. Like, And they can do all the things. Like, I've seen some replicas in the past. After I've seen yours, I was looking some up, and I've seen like groups or whatever. Sure. And they can't really control them. They're more, they light, the mouth lights up. It's more just pre-programmed stuff. Yeah, yours is like a full, like you can take a step back. You're like, wow, is this thing real? Like, it looks real. It acts real. Well, you saw I made him a Ghostbuster recently, right? In fact, we got a video here. Let me see if I got it. Yeah, this is Halloween. Yeah,
you want to use the Ghostbusters 2 theme, not the original, because Huey Lewis might sue you.
Oh, is that right?
Oh yeah.
Is he sue happy, Huey Lewis?
Well, he sued Ray Parker Jr.
Oh well, yeah, but he stole the whole vibe from Huey Lewis.
I want a new drug.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Oh, then I was with the robot dog here recently.
Hey, don't run from the Lord.
So is all like Bluetooth controlled or like?
As far as driving him goes, yeah. No, it's RC, so it's
like remote control.
Okay.
Yeah, like an RC plane or like an RC truck. It's the same kind of deal, but just applied to Johnny.
Okay.
Yeah, and I like to do those kind of fun videos. You see those things on TikTok where that's what that voiceover and all that.
That does
that's
really
what
well.
About, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm so like on cloud 9 right now. I'm watching this video that we have playing back here of just like the controls and all this stuff put in the eye. I mean, this is just incredible. Like, I can hear the theme song in my head as this thing is going.
Yeah.
It's so great.
But, it's pretty crazy. But when I was saying, when he goes out like a Ghostbuster and everything, it kind of gives like a double relation. Yeah. Because you have the Ghostbuster theme and then you have the robot part of it. And I think it's just the interaction that really gets them, because like you said, some people just do like the voicing and all that. But I want him to actually, like, we have the technology. He should seem alive. Yeah. Right? You see these like a lot of the things I got to comment on was the Elon Musk robots recently. And it was like, oh, Elon should have made a Johnny 5, not a whatever he made. Yeah. Or, the
little iRobot clone. Yeah. Or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I think what's great about it is like, it's not creepy, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
Johnny 5?
Yeah. I mean, because it's like, it's got more human emotion than
more relatable.
Yeah. But like, I don't need it walking on 2 legs.
Yeah, exactly. Why do you have to make it look like a human?
Exactly.
So somebody asked me at the event recently. They're like, "Well, if for some reason he starts to uprise, how do we stop him?"
Right. Do you have a kill switch?
I do actually. I have multiple, because I can obviously do it with the remote. But if the remote was the haywire or something, I have another separate kill switch on a fob that immediately shuts him down, because I just don't want to take that risk.
Right. What about like self-destruct?
No, there's no self-destruct.
All right.
You should just tell people. You should walk around with an empty briefcase and tell people that's your kill switch. Just like Sam Altman does with ChatGPT.
It's the football.
Yeah, it's a football. Yeah,
got it like flashed in my arm. Yeah, but as far as his functionality goes, he can do everything the movie can. He doesn't have the tool arm. So he doesn't.
Oh yeah,
It's not practical,
right?
But his eyes pop out. He can stand on his tippy toes. He can do all that.
And all this is from the website, the build, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So the guys that designed or redesigned him, Terry and Ramon and Andrew. I mean, those guys are phenomenal. They put all this, like the original movie. It took like 7 or 10 puppeteers to do it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there was somebody controlling the head, and then there's somebody doing the tracks, and then the arms, and they had this whole suit. And then it was just crazy because it's 85, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now you can just do it all at a push of a button. It's pretty insane. But
so after this one, what do you have a plan of like something else you want to build now that you've got?
Actually, I do. I really want to. So before I do this though, I want to build a Wall-E. That's my next thing.
Yeah,
because Wall-E is really accepted. And just. The thing about Wall-E is he only has a handful of things, but he's cute.
Yeah.
And he's, really
small.
Great. He's great for kids and everything.
He doesn't weigh 400 pounds.
Yeah, I can put him in my SUV.
Right.
But one of the things I'm doing now with Johnny is instead of building a whole nother one, is I'm building accessories.
Yeah.
So I did the Ghostbuster thing. I'm actually currently building a punk head from part 2 with the mohawk.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah, because and then doing all the things where I can
it's got a jean jacket or
or whatever, right?
I can't remember what he had.
He had a leather jacket with the locos.
Okay.
But when he was a punk, he just basically had like capacitors on his arms.
I haven't seen
some other stuff. And
I haven't seen the second one probably since it came out.
It wasn't like real great.
No, the last thing I remember was like those guys trying to break into
that little shed thing,
right.
the safety deposit boxes, and the guy from
Dirty Dancing. That's where I remember him from.
Not Dirty Dancing, but the guy from Laverne and Shirley, who was also in Better Call Saul, was in it.
Yeah.
So, Michael McKean.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Michael McKean. Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm trying to do like things where I can switch out his head for that because I think like taking him to like a horror con would be cool.
Yeah.
In that regard. So, so I'm kind of doing that sort of thing right now. I'm in the middle of building those because it's several $1,000s a head. I mean, it's just parts.
Right.
I mean, it's crazy. And then once I do that, I'm going to do a Wally, I think.
And then after the Wally, gold Johnny 5?
I don't know about gold Johnny 5. That looks like a lot of work just to paint him gold. But yeah.
Doesn't Wally like float? Sorry, you're going to have Wally.
Oh, no, that's Eva.
Oh, it's Eva?
Eva floats.
She looks like
Eva's the little teardrop looking.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
I have a laser pointer thing for my cat. And it looks like that. It just sits like a little vase.
But
like
some people have built Eva, and they have this like contraption where it's like stuck to Wally, so it can look like it's floating.
Yeah.
And then they have somebody made the Mo, the little cleanup dude in Wally that does the little dirt contamination thing. Somebody actually made one of those. I think that's kind of cool.
Funny.
I like those kind of off the wall.
Yeah.
Things,
That's my whole thing is like you can always collect, Star Wars or whatever, even Star Trek. But these little things that no one, like if you walk in my house, I have a guy that made an Urkelbot from Family Matter. It's a 3D printed his version of it. But I mean, little things like that I was a fan of that is just so obscure that you wouldn't know. And I love things like that. So what I learned today was I'll never own one of these Johnny Fives because first off, it's way too expensive. And B, I don't like putting things together. Like I didn't like Legos as a kid. Yeah, I don't want to do the work. I just want to, like this Knight Rider car, at least the work's been done for me except for the interior. And I've already calculating how much that's going to cost. That's why I'm trying to figure out.
Well, by the way, that price I gave you, that was before inflation.
Right. Yeah. So now it's $150,000.
It's ridiculous now. Yeah.
I think it would be cool if we had one made for the studio that's just doesn't do anything. Maybe like a 3D printed one. Maybe the light turns on or something.
They used to have some down in Deep Ellum. It was like inspired by Johnny Five. They weren't exact Johnny Fives, but it had style.
It looked like it. Yeah. Well, now the thing that I'm inspired to do now is try to figure out how to do TikTok lives with the kit car and then try to figure out how to put AI into it.
Right.
Because it's got a cool, I found the module that everything runs off of, and it's got an audio input in there. And so if I can figure out how to do all that, or maybe eventually ChatGPT will get so small that you can fit it on an SD card and just stick it in the unit.
That's the thing I really would like to see is being able to onboard it locally, because one of the things I have a challenge with is the delay.
Yeah.
So having that
Is that RC still sitting the audio, or is that Bluetooth sitting
no,
the audio?
it's coming from. So I use the AI actually on a cellular phone.
Okay.
And then I Bluetooth the audio to Johnny.
So the question answer, the processing the audio, all that's done on your phone.
Yeah.
And then
right now it is. Yeah.
See, that's how I would do it with the kit car too.
What I want to do though is I want to use a Raspberry Pi. I want to put it on him.
Yeah.
And then I want to actually make it like that. That's where I'm trying to go with it. But that takes like Python coding. I've never done Python. I'm learning it. AI is helping me write it.
Yep.
But it's all these competing priorities, right? It's like I'm physically building something. I have to do this programming. Oh, I got to go do this event.
You got to learn.
I got to learn it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. So anybody out there wants to help me bring Johnny to life even more, I'm always welcome to help.
It makes sense that people like I was telling these guys, I was like, we should put like a GoFundMe or something for the kit car, right?
Yeah.
But I'm like, at the same time, why would someone donate for something that they're not going to write in or enjoy? But this makes sense because this makes people happy. You know what I mean? Like you want to see Johnny and.
Yeah, well, I mean, people want to see Kit too, but I struggle with GoFundMe.
Yeah, I do
I'll
too.
be honest with you. It's like I need a trailer to haul him around, but I don't want to go ask for it.
Right, exactly. I feel bad doing that. There's plenty of other people that need money. I don't need you to spend it on this Knight Rider car. This crazy thing. Well, here's what we should do. At some point, whenever you do a con, or you bring Johnny out to the Dallas. Let me know. I'll try to get Kit up here, and maybe we could do a video together.
Absolutely, that'd be great. Yeah, I mean, he was I've done it with the robot dog. I'm trying to kind of do the whole scene and try to have him. I think it'd be cool because we could have him have a conversation. Yeah, right.
Yeah, put him behind a little tape, and he can talk to people. It's kind of like when you go to Universal Studios and they have that Transformer guy out in the front or whatever.
Yeah. But I'll tell you, when I met Steve Guttenberg, I'll tell you this story. And Tim Blaney. Both really great guys, by the way. If you ever see them at a con or whatever, like go see them. They're really genuine. But Steve, he really took to this character. Yeah. Like when he saw Johnny in person, you can just see it like brings back all the memories.
Wow.
Like it's another person. Yeah. It's pretty crazy how actors sometimes can really relate to a character.
Yeah.
What
Comic-Con did you see them at?
It was the Greater Austin Comic Con. So
that's right. You drove them all the way down to Austin.
Yeah. The gentleman that runs that was really generous and had me come down there. And in fact, I'll probably be going next year as well. And I like to do more of those. I want to do some in the DFW area. Hopefully next year. I mean, he's only 6 months old, right? Really. So I mean, I haven't had a lot of time to get a lot of like pre-planned stuff out there. Doing a lot of charities into the end of the year this year, but yeah, it's definitely going to be more out there. I took him down to the downtown Dallas here a few weeks ago for an event.
I saw that. That's the video I saw because you're at like AT&T Center. That's what I'm like. Maybe he's here, so let me see.
yeah, that was pretty cool. Although
I'm surprised you made it out of there with him.
All those parts
getting stripped down and sold.
I was more afraid of getting peed on or something.
Right? Yeah, it could happen. Hey, but Johnny's got that laser that comes down.
No, he retired that.
Oh, you don't have that yet.
Well, right now he's got the toolbox.
But
yeah, I need to make sure he has the laser available when he goes to Dallas.
Yeah, make sure he's armed. It's very important. All right, so if we want to find out more about your journey, follow you along this, you and Johnny, where do we find you guys at?
Yeah, Texas Johnny 5 Build on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And or TJ5 Build. Sometimes it comes up as that.
I can't wait to see what you do next. It's incredible.
Yeah.